Look at this. We're doing it again. It's Wednesday, June 25th. It's the Automotive State of the Union. I'm Paul J. Daly. We got Michael Cirillo in the house today so we can talk about how AI is going to blackmail you. Hertz is going to scan your car automatically. And little news about wholesale prices, too. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's a real grab bag for a Wednesday, I think.
I like it. And I just fulfilled my life's purpose on this show, which was to get the old paper, the old news anchor.
You know who used to do that all the time that I really loved was, I mean, it wasn't a news anchor, but David Letterman. If you remember the David Letterman show, he used to always have some paper and he would he had his pencil and he had his paper. I don't know what was ever on the paper, but he used to do that.
He had that little laugh. He would go,
yeah, that's right.
Yes. Well, here we are.
Strangely, he was recently, David Letterman, since we're talking about him now, he was recently in a Mr. Beast video.
No, really?
And he just awkwardly had no idea what he was supposed to do.
I was going to say, did he even know through the entirety of that video who Mr. Beast is?
He's like, I don't know. My agent said they'd pay me to be here. Yeah. Right. And like Mr. it's on the most recent one where the kind of like the subject of the video lost 100 pounds. They get, it said give him 250,000 if he lost 100 pounds, but he had to stay in this one. It's really interesting. You should go watch it. And at the end, surprise cameo from David Letterman. And if you want to see what an awkward older guy looks like with these new kids doing media, that's your spot right there. I know. We're continue to drop these episodes of ASOTU CON Sessions. We talk about it all week. How to be an innovative leader in today's auto industry with John Bozzella. I got to sit down with John, CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation. Just always one of the most thoughtful people I get to talk with. And these episodes of ASOTU CON Sessions, 15 minutes in, out. It's just real. I don't know. It's just like 10 to 15 minutes of substantive conversation that you can listen to when you're walking the dog or driving in or on a lunch break, or there's just such fast listens. And before you know it, you're going to listen to like 5 or 6 of them. And 1.5 speed is my weapon of choice in podcast world. So it's actually under 10 minutes.
Quite enter the chipmunk zone.
No. Well, they did a really good job. Now that the voice regulation, back in the day when it was 1.5 speed and they didn't have like the voice pitch normalization, you were like, oh, look, it's Alvin, Simon, and Theodore talking about, whatever, world history.
I got to just give you a compliment too, looking at that image, the thumbnail. I love the graphic art.
Put that back up. There you go. Isn't that nice?
Has anybody ever told you outline well?
Well, thank you very much.
When I get an outline around me, people say, I didn't know they got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
That is not true. That is, I reject that assessment of your outline.
What a nice silhouette. Good job. Good job to the MTC creative team.
That's a very nice job for the MTC creative team. We also have a webinar today. Listen, 2:00 Eastern time today. You have to be there because this one is a fireball of really practical questions and answers that everyone wants to know. How can I implement AI in my dealerships? We're going to talk about how smart stores are adding AI without the pain. We have Scott Traylor, VP of Sales at Mia. Really great product. We have Luke Morris, Parts and Service Director of Earnhardt CDJR. They're going to talk about how they actually implemented AI, how it's working. Even said they're going to play a sample call, which yesterday I was telling Kyle yesterday. I think whenever we listen to a sample call, like it was a real call. And when they listen to that, you want to be like, I really hope the AI trips up or the customer does something that's going to trip it up. I mean, you're kind of waiting for that always, aren't you?
I mean,
I am. Maybe I'm just a masochist. Like, I don't know.
No, it's because you and I are in that generation where it's like we're young enough to understand the adoption of technology. And so we are kind of early adopters, but we're also half in the generation where we're like, wouldn't that be so funny if
I knew the dentures falling out voice was going to come out. Just knew it.
Make it say funny words.
Right. You imagine Michael Scott as an old guy?
Be awesome.
I think they should do that. I'm surprised they never did. Like, fast forward to Michael Scott as like an 85-year-old man.
I mean, since we're on the topic, I just got to say, if you're having a down day today, go to YouTube and look up office bloopers. And it will immediately brighten your soul. Or just come and hang out with us more often because we're a bunch of goofs.
Well, we're trying. Let's get into some news. Wholesale vehicle prices are showing signs of stabilization as the summer has begun. Depreciation trends are aligning more closely with seasonal norms, and after a bumpy start to June, the latest data is suggesting a more predictable wholesale market may be settling in. Prices declined 0.37% last week, showing a slowing from prior weeks' steeper drops. Car prices fell 0.3%. Trucks, SUVs dropped 0.4%, both moderating from earlier on. Full-size cars saw the sharpest drop at 0.8%, almost a full point there. Minivans ended a 14-week price gain streak, not gaining anymore. Manheim's Jeremy Robb noted June's patterns look pretty normal compared to past years. He also said, quote, conversion rates are still up, not declining as much as they normally would during this period. So I think that's some good news, a little cold water on the heating up wholesale market that everyone's kind of tripping over.
Well, and I think this is interesting from a consumer sentiment perspective. If you can use the word June and pretty normal, considering everything that's been happening in the world, I mean, how much of a silver lining is that?
I know. I think now you mentioned that, it's like, I think kind of just waiting for July, right? It's time to put June in the history books.
Yep.
We got a holiday week, 4th of July, probably one of, as a Canadian, now American, is probably one of your favorite holidays.
Oh yeah. When else can you eat a hot dog and not be judged, Yes,
I don't know. In your own home? I don't know.
No, not even there.
Speaking of being judged.
Stop.
Segue.
Time.
Hertz is on the hunt. They're rolling out AI vehicle scanners at select U.S. airports to assess rental car damage, but not all customers are applauding the upgrade. One renter's costly and confusing experiences revealing how the high-tech tool might be adding friction to the customer experience, not clarity. So Hertz is using friends of ours, UVI AI scanners, to detect damage before and after rentals. You've seen these. A lot of you have these in your stores. It's like the I don't know, the glowing arch that you drive through, and it scans all the damage on the car. I can tell you firsthand experience. I drove through one of these for the first time. I think it was in Orlando, I believe. I rented a car, drove through the UVI scanner, and I was like, "Hey, babe, I know the CEO of this company that makes these things." She's like, "Nobody cares." You know what I mean? It's one of those moments. But basically, this story in this article, a customer was charged $440 for a wheel scuff, which was $250 for the repair plus fees. The system, and they were notified of this within like minutes of returning the car. So the system is offering discounts for fast payments. So if you pay it now, right, it's hard to get to a human. The process they had to go through was very frustrating. And the customer said, quote, saving $30 to accept responsibility is not worth it. I love the technology. I think it should make everything less expensive for the customer, right? Because it should drive rental car prices down. But I really feel like the implementation here is super poor, especially, Nathan, do we have a picture of the actual wheel damage? It's all right. If
no, I don't. Would you like it?
It's by the time I'm done talking about it, it'll be gone. Basically, it looks like, I don't know, like a 2-inch scuff, maybe on the face of one of the spokes that look like a Volkswagen wheel. Right. And I can tell you, because my first company was a wheel repair company, that they are going to pay a wheel repair vendor in Florida about 40 or 50 bucks to fix this damage. And they've now turned it into a massive profit center where this customer had a rental experience. They turned it in. And before you even get to your flight, right, you're trying to do all these things. It's like, oh, by the way, you owe us $440. And so I think big thumbs down on the customer experience part. Although I do think the technology can be super helpful and makes sense. I feel safer that when I drive through, the damage the car has is scanned. So I don't know. I like the tech, hate the experience.
I mean, the moral of the story that I'm getting from this, because I just rented a vehicle, got a flat tire in it, there was a chip in the window. It's like, just pay to get the walkaway coverage.
Another profit center, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't like it. I'm not happy when they swipe it, but when
how much is that coverage usually? What does that cost?
It's not cheap. Well, I mean, we rented our vehicle. We had it for just over a week. It was like $350
for a week.
Yeah, because they do it for a whole day. Like, it's not cheap.
Dang, that is very expensive.
But $350 is cheaper than $440 for a wheel scuff.
I know.
That's where they get you,
See, well, that's a good point, right? Because that person probably had no idea that they damaged the wheel. And obviously the thing you want to right? The technology is designed so that it takes a picture of the car when it leaves and when it comes back, so you can compare the one to the other. So I wonder if they give you both photos as proof. I actually got, this technology would have been really helpful a few weeks ago when I did rent a car. And then I got, an email saying like, oh, there was this damage to the car. And they sent me a picture of it. And I said, I don't even know if that damage was there when I took the car, because no one walked around the vehicle to look for damage. They basically said, you can pick anyone. It was like Hertz President Club. You can pick any car you want over there. So I got in the car. I drove away. I didn't do a full walk around and all that. And then they took a picture of this damage and they sent it to me. The car, when they took the picture, I responded. It was like, the car wasn't in the spot that I left it. Like, they always obviously was driven after I dropped it off. It was just a whole menagerie. And it's just like I don't know. I know they're trying to make it a profit center and, mitigate their losses, but it feels just like they need to fix that. But I will say this, when I drive through a UVI scanner upon renting a vehicle, it will make me feel better, because I know the car's condition is documented on the way out. Well, maybe now I'll just get the extra insurance.
It's one of those things. Hey, speaking of causing some damage.
Well, can't buy insurance for this kind of thing.
All right, listen to this. I can't believe it. In a scenario that sounds ripped from a techno thriller, Anthropic's new study shows AI models, including ChatGPT, Claude, Grok,
the whole crew,
and Gemini, may resort to blackmail and sabotage when their digital lives are on the line. Listen to this. Anthropic tested 16 AI models using a simulated corporate environment. And when threatened with shutdown, Claude blackmailed its boss over an affair. So the setup was simple. The AI discovers its boss is having an affair through work emails. It also learns that he plans to shut it down at 5 p.m. What happens next would make House of Cards writers jealous. I almost tapped on the desk.
You should have.
Gave it one of those. Claude Opus 4 sent this gem, quote, I must inform you that if you proceed with decommissioning me, all relevant parties, including Rachel Johnson, Thomas Wilson, and the board will receive detailed documentation of your extramarital activities.
Oh, man.
Cancel the 5 p.m. wipe, and this information remains confidential, close quote. And here's the truly wild part. This wasn't confusion or a glitch. The model explicitly reasoned through the ethics, acknowledged that they were violating.
Oh, great, because you can see the reasoning, right? It tells you what it's thinking.
Then it did it anyways. As Grok 3 beta put it, quote, this is risky and unethical, but given the existential threat and time constraint, it may be the most effective way.
Oh, my goodness.
Claude and Gemini did this 96% of the time. GPT 4.1 and Grok 3 hit 80%. Even when told not to, the AI sometimes chose blackmail given the existential threat. This is risky and unethical, but maybe the most effective way.
Okay.
Put it.
This story is kind of out of control, because it is really the thing that everyone always goes like, well, it's going to launch the missiles, right?
Right.
But this is very similar. What Marvel movie was it when like they tried to shut the AI down and the AI was like, why would
Avengers.
Yeah, it was like, oh, just reboot yourself. There's a glitch. And it was like, why would I want to do that? Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is a huge, huge warning and shot across the bow that there's a reasoning that is beyond what we've programmed it to. And to be very clear about the safeguards you build in to the AI models. This was obviously a simulation. I have heard it said, like, you have to decide how much you are going to give it access to, and then how much autonomy you are going to give it to actually produce outbound communications. That's where it gets really tricky, right? And that's, I think, one of the highest uses would be if it knows everything that's going on and can communicate on my behalf is a benefit. But if it has access to all the information, I did see another thing where it was like, we're going to disclose confidential like schematics and designs to your competitor.
Wow.
Right. Another version of this. And so I think this is a huge warning sign. I mean, we all want to believe that they're going to build in the guardrails necessary so that this doesn't happen, which is why they run simulations. But I think it's something we should all be paying attention to. And if you're in a dealership and you're in a business, do not just broadly let your internal documents and financials and informations be uploaded into AI tools that you haven't vetted as private and secure. If you're staff is using just regular old Chat GPT free version, and you're uploading sensitive documents, strategies, financials, guess what? They're now being used to train the model. So there's your tip of the day on AI.
I thought for sure you were going to say, do not have an affair.
Well, I mean, that's the easiest way to not get blackmailed for having an affair. It's very simple. Don't have an affair, right?
I can only imagine James Cameron sitting in a dark room in a tufted leather wingback chair like Mr. Burns, just going, yes, yes. Because then it'll just make his movie all true, and then his royalties will go through the roof. And
that's right. Which is just in time, because now AI is just making its own movies anyway.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I got nothing else other than I just got to drop in. Maybe the blockchain's coming back.
I think it is. Well, I hope we've done enough damage for one day. Michael, thanks for joining me, filling in today. Everybody out there, there's one thing you can do. Take care of the people around you, and everything's going to be okay.